Wow, I actually got another video finished? What are the chances of that? 2025 was just sucky all around, both in my personal life and online. I experienced quite a lot of games throughout the year, about 54 or 55 of them to be exact, which makes second place in the most number of games I first played in a certain year, with first still being 2020 as the reigning champion. I have played many games I did not like or thought were pretty meh, but I still play a lot of games I absolutely enjoyed. And because the 2024 video had nearly 40 games to talk about spanning nearly an hour, there's no doubt in my mind that this video is going to reach over that. Just to let you guys be aware if you're watching this during the premiere. I'm going to also make the visuals more visually pleasing this time around so that you guys are not looking at still images on a still background. The still images of the game covers are still going to be there, but I'm going to provide a moving background this time around. Finally, the games don't have to be released in 2025, they could be from any year. As long as I played it for the first time in 2025, then it's eligible for this video. And with all that out of the way, let's begin. Pac-Man 256. This is a quick and simple one to get out of the way. Pac-Man 256 is a fine game. The gameplay is fun, turning the main style of gameplay into an endless runner. The power-ups are really good, and the graphics are good. And I like how there isn't any music aside from one track, which is a remix of the Pac-Man theme from 1980, but it's definitely not a game I'll go back to constantly. Not much else to say about it. It was good. Taiwan Cool Fox. And yet, what I said about Pac-Man 256 is unfortunately not how I also feel about Taiwan Cool Fox. Aside from the controversial and incredibly concerning character designs, especially towards the main character of the game, okay, the female MC of the game is really cool though. This game is not that great. The combat is fine, but a bit unpolished. Aside from the bosses, which actually do provide a good challenge, the soundtrack is forgettable, the frame rate can fucking dip bad in some levels, especially with level 4. The gameplay loop is a little bit repetitive, the AI enemy programming can get so fucking dumb. The platforming is a bit weird due to the jump feeling like it wasn't properly designed for platforming. Taiwan Cold Fox just isn't fun. I also think the price tag is too fucking high for this game. Seriously, this game shouldn't have been 25 USD, and what the fuck do you mean it's $36 in NZD? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but this game should not have been this much. That's a higher price tag than fucking Freedom Planet, which is 15 USD and 18 NZD. So yeah, I didn't like this game. For God of Thunder. This movie tie-in game was a fucking letdown at every turn. The only things I liked about this game are that I love the title screen and especially the music there being great. The darker saturation is a neat choice, the voice acting's neat, and that is just about all I could praise this game for because the game is genuinely fucking boring. The sound design is absolutely weak, the combat is a monotonous slog, the level design was just not for me, the performance is just awful, the music is forgettable, it just bored me to sleep. Even if you like the Norse God of Thunder a lot, I do not recommend you playing this game, it's just not a fun time. Uno for the Game Boy Color. This is a rather strange one to discuss because Uno is my favorite card game of all time, but the video game adaptation of Uno on the Game Boy Color just gets really boring even when playing it with a friend. There's nothing really wrong with it, I just found it very hard to engage with it, and it made me nearly fall asleep a few times playing it or watching a friend play it. Mitsurugi Kamui Hikai. I've had a mixture of good and bad experiences with this game. While the combat flow and graphics are really good, the game is too short, lasting only about an hour for its story. Starring only 2 characters, our main character Misa, who is a Blade Templar, and her friend Suzuka, who got possessed by the Demon Blade and slaying their teacher prior to the events of the game. The world building is very underutilized and the story is just there because the game does center more on its gameplay than being story driven, which I'm fine with, especially for an indie title like this. Games are games after all, but the story gives us so little to no time to get used to our only focused characters, and it makes the overall narrative and world building weak in my opinion. The gameplay is the most 50-50 gameplay of all time. The game is an arena-based hack and slash with, if I remember, 4 or 5 enemy waves and a boss fight for every level. The bosses for the most part are just okay, and the combat, while fun, can get kinda repetitive after a while, but the combat flow and the upgrade system are really good, and using the new moves you unlock feels so satisfying. The music is forgettable with no track standing out to me. This game is one that's a little bit hard to recommend if you are a story person like me, but if you enjoy fast combat flow, then this game is one I could definitely say give a shot at. Grand Theft Auto 3 Definitive Edition. Now then, my first experience with Grand Theft Auto 3 was actually in 2022, but the Definitive Edition I first played in 2025. And I've said this in the Sonic Colors Ultimate segment of a 2024 video, and I'll say it again. A remaster can have differences that can warrant a different feel in comparison to the original game, and that's the same case here. That said, I think I will count remasters on these types of videos from here onward. I'll be honest, and this is a big hot take I have, but I simply could not get into the original GTA 3. I tolerate a lot of the issues because it was the first 3D GTA, but the controls were very wonky, especially when driving. The cars are very fragile, I was not at all a fan of the weapon aiming, there's no enhanced map, etc. And I'll fully admit, GTA 3 Definitive Edition did end up fixing a lot of the issues I have with the original. The controls are better due to them being upgraded to be GTA 5-like controls, but weapon aiming has improved and there's actually an enhanced map this time around. And to be honest, this is another hot take, I kinda prefer this more than the original, but that doesn't mean it's good now. Aside from the story, characters, and well, the issues I mentioned, GTA 3 Definitive Edition as a remaster does not look good. Sure, there are some enhancements to make the game look more modern, but just because the game attempted it doesn't mean it looks better. It's just the PS2 models being upscaled and the game just looks cursed because of it. At least with this game, it's better than most games I don't like because there's shit I like, but it's still not a good time for me. Wood Blast. When I got my new phone, this game alongside Smash Hit, Subway Surfers, and several others were immediately installed on it, and Wood Blast is a really chill game. The music is relaxing, the gameplay is strategizing, the challenge levels are very interesting and test your brain power a lot, the ad placements weren't that intrusive to the overall experience. The only thing I thought was meh about this game is the fact that every 20 minutes the game will inform you that you should take a break and rest your eyes. But I just ignore it most of the time. Or at least try to ignore it. Listen, Wood Blast, you ain't my mother. I will rest my eyes whenever the heck I goddamn want. Half-Life. This is a decent game, though I have not gone all too far into the game. Story's starting off pretty good, the characters are pretty interesting, I love the scenery, but graphics for an early PC game look so fucking good. Even if they don't hold up to modern day standards, they have that nostalgic charm which I love. Though the OST is kind of forgettable to me, and the exploration wall is not an issue with the game, I just wish I wasn't horrible at. Decent game, and I'll play more of it so that I can get a better feel off of it, but for my first Half-Life game, this was nice. Ultimate Chicken Horse. Throughout October, one of my friends would give me and a couple others a game on Steam every Wednesday as part of his weekly chaos, and Ultimate Chicken Horse was the first game that he bought us, and this is quite a fun game. When my friend said chaos, he was not kidding, because the game requires getting a piece of material each round to try to make it to the top without hitting any traps a player could get. This is where the chaos part of Ultimate Chicken Horse comes into play, because depending on who you play with, the game can either be a really fun cooperative time, or a sinister bloodbath plotted by one of your friends that could be seen as friendship breaking. Take that, Mario Party! But yeah, the gameplay is fun, the game looks really good, it's a fun time. Make Way. Think of the gameplay like Ultimate Chicken Horse, but with it being a 3D top-down racer game, and racetracks and road hazards to put down instead, because that's basically what Make Way is. And I love this game so much. Music's fine, but the graphics are good, the controls are great, and this game is as chaotic as Ultimate Chicken Horse. I come back to this game more than Ultimate Chicken Horse simply because I just have a lot more fun with this game. I really want to play this game on stream one day. Jump King. Out of all the Rage games that I played, Jump King is the only one I really like. While the timing of the jumps is something you get used to, it doesn't take long at all to understand how long or short or what direction you need to jump. The graphics are so fucking good, music is good, the gameplay, while ridiculously hard, is ridiculously fun as well. This is some good shit, and I gotta keep going because it is all worth it for that smoking hot babe waiting for me at the top. Rift of a Necrodancer. I was very concerned at first because I'm not all too into rhythm and music video games, primarily just because I absolutely suck at them and the purpose of a genre's learning curve turns me away. It's why I have not played games like Rift of a Necrodancer yet, but I have played its sequel and I was genuinely stunned by how good this actually is. The music is fucking incredible, the game is visually one of the best I've ever seen for an indie game, the gameplay is actually fun, the characters are so entertaining with Candace being a great protagonist. However, the writing for the story is just okay to me and that I wish it was longer. It has a couple weird difficulty spikes on my easiest difficulty, though that one is the least of my complaints. And the level editor is not my cup of tea, but I do understand why people get a kick out of it. But yeah, Rift of a Necrodancer is a great game and I definitely recommend playing it, even if you're not all too into the rhythm and music genre. Penny's Big Breakaway, momentum-based 3D platformer, made by the same guy that made Sonic Mania, one of if not the best 2D Sonic game. I didn't get Penny's Big Breakaway right away, but after seeing a commentary by a friend of mine, Luxter, who covered someone that made a bad video on Penny's Big Breakaway, I decided to give it a shot a few months later. And this game is very fucking good. The level design is awesome, it makes very good usages of momentum and Penny's yo-yo abilities, the denizen side quests and collectibles around each of the levels are fun to do as well, the graphics and music are interstellar, the story and characters are charming, the penguins make a fun game even better with the actual tense feeling of being chased, but in a satisfying way, and the Tony Hawk-inspired point system makes the game very replayable. That said, however, it's not all sunshines and rainbows because the game does have some issues that keep it from being great. The controls are tough to get used to, especially when something like turning while being on yo-yo can actually get a bit stiff, but when you actually pull off some sick-ass tricks and have some flow and momentum going, the controls aren't actually half bad. And even then, 90% of the time, I still felt like I died because of my own faults rather than the game, so the fail states in this game have been very fair for most of my playthrough. The game also has some clipping issues, particularly when getting stuck on the wall, forcing me to drop out and lose a piece of my health. It's not constant, but the game is definitely like this if you aren't careful on how to utilize your yo-yo abilities. And the bosses are very 50-50. Some are good, others are mixed, and some I just didn't like. While yeah, Penny's Big Breakaway is a flawed game, I did still get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I can't wait to see what other upcoming projects Christian Whitehead and the rest of Evening Star have in store for us. Gang Base. This game is funny. I just love how whimsical Gang Base is in terms of its gameplay. The combat is very fun, the game controls pretty well, the stages and their hazards are fun to fight on, especially with how funny they are, and the game looks really good. The only thing I would complain about is that I did find the music a bit on the forgettable side, but if that's the only thing I didn't like about this game, then that just goes to show how fun it is. You know, I think the fact I went on a hyperbolically speaking college-ass essay about Penny's Big Breakaway, and then the next second here is I didn't have much to say. Oh well. Mario Kart 64. Whoop, looks like Grand Theft Auto 3 is not the only game I didn't like while everyone else did. Yep, I simply couldn't get into Mario Kart 64. That said, the music is great and the game looks really good. But the controls were weird for me. I especially hate the drift in this game. The track design is very 50-50. The rubber band AI is atrocious. The character sprites look so out of place for me. I could not get into this game at all. And that is such a damn shame that I think this way because I heard great things about it for years. That said, there are going to be people in my audience who love this game and I'm happy you enjoy it. Especially for those that grew up with it. Wave Race 64. I really was not expecting to enjoy Wave Race 64 as much as I do, but holy shit, this arcade-style water bike racing game is really fun to play. The game looks really beautiful, easily among one of my favorite games graphics-wise on the Nintendo 64. The character designs are cool, the track design is great, the controls take a couple races to get used to, but when you get the hang of them, it makes turning, performing tricks on the waves, and just simply racing all the more great. The music is really good. This was such a great game for me to play. What can I say? I always love some chillax racing games with only small bits and pieces of carnage on the side. Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game. Speaking of carnage, why do I love this game so much? Up until this point, I've never been a fan of motorcycles and racing games, but Monster Energy Supercross is fun? The game graphics-wise looks great, the track design is great, and the controls do take some time getting used to because of a steep learning curve, but much like the Forza Horizon games, you can rewind if you fuck up and try to correct your mistakes. The only thing that peeves me about the game is the physics can get pretty inconsistent at times. Everything from what I played so far at a friend's house makes me want to buy the game myself. I was also surprised to find out that this was the first game in a series that from 2018 to 2023 had yearly releases. Don't know if I'll try out the other games in the series, but yeah, no, I had a blast. It was energetic, one might say. I'm fucking moving on. Dustin Elysian Tale. I never realized how much fun this game actually is because I've heard great things about Dustin. Oh my goodness, the people are absolutely right. The art style is beautiful, the characters are endearing, the voice acting is superb, the level design is really good, the soundtrack is great, and the combat is shockingly so great. With so much shit that goes on and how ridiculously addictive it is to pull off combos, Dustin Elysian Tale has one of my favorite combat in any video game alongside Bayonetta, Devil May Cry 5, Metal Gear Rising, and Nier Automata. I definitely recommend this game to indie lovers and those that love story-focused games. Golf with your friends. Definitely do love playing golf games, and since Golf with your friends is a popular golf game, I managed to play it with a few friends in 2025 and the game didn't disappoint. The golf courses with the different sceneries and landscapes are diverse and interactive, making for very fresh experiences even online. The game looks really good, the music has some really good tunes in it, it's just a really fun golf game for friends, family, and lovers. Enter the Gungeon. Got this game from a buddy for Christmas of 2024, and after playing it months later due to me losing a bet, yeah, this was really good. The dungeon crawling aspect of the game is really fun, the game looks absolutely gorgeous, the bosses are fun to fight, the playable characters are very versatile and all set themselves apart from one another. Yeah, this is a great time, and since we'll be getting Enter the Gungeon 2 in the near future, here's hoping what the developers bring to the table. Balatro. This is one of the video games I'm addicted to currently. The gameplay is very strategic and experimental where losing felt motivating rather than frustrating. The graphics are gorgeous, the soundtrack is atmospherically good, the pixel artwork for this game looks pretty as fuck. The fact that most of this game was made by only a single individual is impressive, and considering all the awards Balatro won, it truly deserved to be one of the Game of the Year nominees at the Game Awards in 2024. Speaking of 2024 Game of the Year nominees, Metaphor ReFantasio. I've only played up to 10.5 hours last year in 2025, but throughout most of January and the beginning of February this year, I pushed through and through it. I finished the game, got the true ending and everything, and oh my fucking god, this game is nothing short of a masterpiece. The turn-based combat is one of the most strategic I've ever played. Experimenting with the many archetypes you'll get across the game is pretty addicting and fun to work around with. The music is genuinely fantastic, the general overworld is breathtaking, the world building is nothing short of wonders. The story and characters are fucking awesome. The game has multiple plot twists and they are all pulled off fantastically. The game's message is extremely powerful with themes surrounding overcoming fears and anxiety, envisioning the world by turning fantasy into reality, and a call for social change. The more I played this game, the more I loved it. Atlas, Sega, and Studio Zero all cooked with metaphor. If there is one problem I have with the game, it's that I just don't like the Dragon Temple dungeon. That one was just dull and boring. But other than that, this game was a masterpiece, worth spending over 54 hours on it. Crash Bandicoot Warped. More so specifically, the original Crash Bandicoot Warped. I played the Insane Trilogy Remaster all the way back in 2018 to 2019, but I have never played the original PS1 classics that made this franchise big to begin with. And while I still have yet to play the original PS1 releases of Crash 1 and Crash 2, I genuinely have missed out on a classic Crash Bandicoot Warped because this is such a fun game, especially for a game that was only made in 10 months. The level design continues on the classic traditional hallway-like platforming we all know and love, but it's very versatile, especially with the levels being different eras of time. The vehicle and peril riding levels are wonderful, excluding those goddamn plane levels near the end of the game. The music is really good, the bosses are easily the best lineup in the trilogy. Warped was a fantastic time from start to finish. Pun unintended. Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, the PlayStation 1 version. Trust me, I could have played the PSP remaster of Eternal Punishment, but that one was not officially localized, and while there is an English patch mod available for the PSP release, I don't know how to mod games yet, as it's way out of my expertise. So, unlike the PSP releases of Persona 1 and Persona 2 Innocent Sin, I decided to play the original PS1 release of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Meaning after 5 years, I have now played every mainline Persona game out there. Hell to the fuck yeah! That said, I'm enjoying my time with Eternal Punishment so far. The dungeon exploration aspect is really fun, the characters are great, the story is so good as always, the music is a bop, the battle system was not what I expected, since I realized how vastly different the battle UI work in the PS1 and PSP releases of Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. It was a bit confusing at first, and I understand why the UI was changed in the PSP releases, but I eventually got the hang of it after a couple battles, and it was very fun and tactical. Definitely a great game, and much like Persona 1 and Persona 2 Innocent Sin, I definitely recommend this game if you really want to see how the Persona series started before Persona 3 changed the series formula. Tales of Symphonia. I've heard so many great things about Tales of Symphonia that I'm a bit surprised I never got to play it until the Big 25. Though I did play the Steam port that was released in 2016, which is known to be not a good port. But the main problem that I had was that the game crashed on me, causing me to lose 30 minutes of progress. However, the game was still fucking great. The combat is fun, the overworld is fun to explore, the story is pretty interesting, the game looks really damn good, the music is not one of my favorites in the series, but still awesome. The characters are interesting and the voice acting is really nice. Seriously, when I heard Lloyd's voice actor, I immediately recognized Scott Melville, the voice of Robin from Teen Titans, right away. And I have a very hard time recognizing when a character shares the same VA I would know of. This is a fun game in the Tales series and one I'd easily recommend. VVV. Say that 5 times fast. I'm just gonna call it V. Funny title aside, this game is supposed to test your skills through very difficult challenges in order to find your way around the levels to rescue all of your crew members. The platforming here is really good, the characters are neat, the game looks really good, the music's got some nice tunes. This was some good shit. Maybe a very difficult game, but it's not an unfair one, especially with the checkpoint placements. Aegis the First Mission. I am absolutely sure very few people in my audience know what this game is. It's a prequel to Persona 3 centering around Aegis 10 years before the events of the game. The game was released in 2007, the same year as P3's enhancement Fez, as a Japanese exclusive for mobile phones. However, in 2024, Gmod released this game on Steam and Switch as a part of the Gmod Archives Plus series for third-party titles, with 3 Mega 10 games as part of the series. The Shin Megami Tensei Last Bible series, Megami Iburoku Persona Iku no Touhen, and Aegis the First Mission. And for a mobile game released on Japanese phones in 2007, the game is pretty decent. Story is alright and so are the characters, though the dialogue is all in Japanese, so it was really hard to follow since I don't understand Japanese kanji, but that's not the game's fault. That being said, it did make it hard for me to figure out where to go most of the time, but someone did translate this game into English, and while not perfect, it did help me follow through easier. And the person who made an English patch mod for Iku no Touhen is currently making an English patch mod for Aegis the First Mission, so I know I'm gonna try to get that when it releases. That also being said, aside from one track being days 1 to 3 of the Path track, the music is not really that great, with some portions of the game not having music like some locations, and especially during a lot of the story cutscene moments. However, the combat is good. A little bit on the button mashy side, but it is a mobile game from 2007, so I tolerated a whole lot. But the combat is a bit broken, making the game very easy. I don't mind it all too much, however, because I do like easy games as long as they aren't boring. It's a flawed game, but it's a very decent experience that I do recommend to those who love Persona 3 as much as I do, and if Aegis is one of their favorite Persona or video game characters ever, like I do. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Definitive Edition. Much like with GTA 3 Definitive Edition, I did not enjoy the Definitive Edition version for San Andreas, and that fucking sucks because I heard great things about this game in particular. The story and characters are fucking great, including the world building and character development, and for the most part the gameplay is very fucking good. but the graphics are even worse than what was in the original back in 2004. My birth year, let me all remind you, and I've experienced some weird ass glitches like the fucking straight lights and other poles clipping through the floor, and this. Yeah, I stopped playing the game after this because fuck that mission, man. And I beat that infamous train mission with zero glitches happening whatsoever, so what the fuck happened here? If I find a copy of the original game, I'm getting that one instead because fuck the definitive edition of this game. It's admittedly a D+ tier game, because I do have things about it I enjoyed, and while I personally am in the belief that remasters for the most part do not should affect how I feel about the game in a general sense, if the problems of the remaster are so fucking unbearable that it affects the remaster as a game too, then no. Unlike Sonic Colors Ultimate, where I still had great fun out of it despite me believing it was a good game yet a bad remaster, GTA San Andreas Definitive Edition couldn't even offer me that. It's a bad game and a bad remaster. And when I absolutely already know that I'm probably going to get more enjoyment out of the original than your remaster despite me never playing the original game, then you know you absolutely fucked up. Anyways, I have 2 more definitive editions in a row I want to discuss, and these 2 are at the very least actual good games. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Prior to the announcement of a Definitive Edition, Xenoblade X was the last Xenoblade game that was not on a Nintendo Switch. It was especially one of the most heavily requested games that fans wanted to get a Switch port. I was one of those people, and we finally got it. I pre-ordered the game and played it on the day it released, and holy shit, this game is very fucking good. I've already touched on how I feel about this game in the second episode of my Q&A series, so there will absolutely be repeating talking points in that. The controls and combat are some of my favorites in this series. I really love the story and the writing, the music is fucking great as ever, and the exploration is just beautiful. However, I think the game is too overloaded with gimmicks, more than any other entry, making me feel incredibly overwhelmed. The tutorial does not do a good job at teaching the player of the game's mechanics very well, and I really could not get into how difficulty was handled in the game at all. In the main story missions, if you die a certain amount of times, the game will ask you if you wish to lower the difficulty for the rest of the mission. I'm torn between this because on one hand, I definitely understand why the difficulty is built around this, but on the other hand, I just wish the game gave you an option to choose at the start of the game, and allowed you to switch difficulties whether you want to continue playing casually or whether you want to try more of a challenge. It's partially why I don't consider Xenoblade X the best game as the first entry for beginners of the franchise. Also, fuck the final boss. That being said, however, despite my issues with the game, it's still an amazing experience. As soon as I defeat that fucking final boss, I'll finally get to the new story chapter the Definitive Edition added. Xenoblade X is great, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. I've been wanting to play Hyrule Warriors for years. I've been trying to get into the Legend of Zelda series a lot more recently, specifically with a good chunk of Ocarina of Time, which I first started in 2022, but never properly played until 2025. And that game is easily up there with Wind Waker in my all-time favorites. And Hyrule Warriors, a Zelda game with Dynasty Warriors gameplay, and while this concept is ridiculously stupid on paper, the game is absolutely fun to play. Slicing down hundreds of enemies while also playing as a tower defense game, the game makes a really fun usage of each character's abilities and brings back many locations and characters from the different eras of the Zelda timeline. The music is absolutely peak and the story is fantastic. Though that said, this is not a game I will play for extensive sittings, and after a couple scenarios, my attention span does start to dip quite a bit. But either way though, this is a great game and definitely one worth playing if you're a Zelda fan or someone getting into the series. But 100% completing this game is going to be a massive bitch, I will say. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. I played the original game on PS2, which was the Maniacs release of the game, and also known as Shin Megami Tensei Lucifer's Call and Power Regions, and that game made number 10 on my top 10 favorite games I first played in 2021 list. But I knew it was not going to reach any higher on that list because I'll fully admit I understand the whole premise of a punishment-like gameplay for this JRPG series, but it's never always been one of my favorites as a casual person. I still like the game, but not one I'll play on a constant basis, and one I'll probably never beat. The HD Remaster, on the other hand, not only did I beat because it has a merciful difficulty, but hot take, this is in my opinion the best release of Shin Megami Tensei 3 thus far. As always, the combat is very fun, the dungeons are really cool. I absolutely love the characters in the story. The music is just as awesome as always. The HD remaster also adds voice acting, which I must say is absolutely nice to have, and even the ability to select your skills during demon fusions. I completely understand why some people don't vibe with this remaster, but to me, this is in my opinion the best way to play Shin Megami Tensei 3. Turning a game from what I thought was good, yet not the best S&T game, as a lot of people say it is, to my favorite non-Persona Megaten game. Metroid Prime Remastered. Much like Half-Life, I wish I didn't suck at exploration due to my sense of direction in first-person shooter games being all fucking wacky, but aside from that, Metroid Prime is a really cool game, and it's a shame I never got to play this game before 2025, because this is a really nice experience thus far. Far from my favorite Nintendo game, but the story is turning out really nice, the combat is awesome, the tone this game gives off was up my alley for sure, the music is fucking amazing, and the presentation is very scenic, eerie, and in a way incredibly gorgeous looking. Such a fun game, and I genuinely want to play more of it when I get back around to it. Big rigs over the road racing. Do I even need to explain why this game is bad? If you know, you know. But for those that don't, I'll give you the gist of it. The gameplay is fucking boring, with the only interesting thing about it being just messing around with this game's zero collision detection because you could drive through anything. The game's performance is abysmal, the music is generic and boring, the audio is weak, the physics are jank as hell, and even though I do have a soft spot for the graphics, they could have been miles better. It's no wonder why this is widely known to be one of the worst video games of all time. However, it's far from a worst video game I played. Don't get me wrong, it's an E to F tier game, but I played worse. And speaking of that, did you know that Big Rigs Over the Road Racing is only half of a full game? Yeah, because the other half is not talked about as much as Big Rigs, and is stuck in Big Rigs' shadow. This one is what I consider to be far worse than Big Rigs, and that is Midnight Race Club Supercharged. The sister game that is a massive step down. Most of Midnight Race Club is the same from Big Rigs. Track design and main menu, UI layout, and even the music is just carried over from Big Rigs. However, the collision detection is fixed, but that's not saying much since the audio in this game got fucking worse with the hit detection sound effect being louder than a fire alarm that it hurts my fucking ears. The game also has 3 different vehicle choices and trucks with 2 different types of cars and motorcycles, and given the rush state of this game, the camera was clearly not yet designed in mind for these vehicles, because the performance is even more jittery and actually hurts my fucking retinas with the stuttering camera. You can't go up steep hills forward anymore in any of the vehicles, so your only option is to drive backwards. Are you fucking joking? Unlike Big Rigs, where that game was so awful that there was some unironic enjoyment, Midnight Race Club doesn't even give me that. It's just plain awful in every sense of the word, and I do not recommend you play this game. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Well, at least this game is not a bad one, but a disappointingly mediocre one. And it sucks that I think this about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite because the gameplay is actually kind of fun, especially with the gimmick of using the ability of whatever Infinity Stone you decide to have in your possession. But aside from that, the game has a lot of issues. The story is fine and the voice actors did a good job, but some characters feel very underused and even pointless. The story is one of the most poorly handled twists I've ever seen. Sometimes the humor works while others don't really feel all that funny to me. Some of the villains just appear for a couple scenes, or even one in the case of Dormammu and Firebrand before fucking off for the rest of the game. Hell, the presentation is very 50-50. On one hand, the environments look really good, but on the other, a lot of the characters' face models look so whack. Either looking like Barbie dolls or action figures, really boring looking or kinda unhinged. And shockingly enough, I thought the soundtrack was not that good. Some of the Capcom themes sound really good except for Dante's, but the Marvel side on the other hand, aside from the themes for Gamora and maybe Rocket Raccoon, the rest of the tracks just simply don't fit a fighting game to me and blend in too fucking easy with one another, especially with the MCU-esque style of music they decided to go for. But hey, at the very least, unlike other mediocre or bad games I play, the game as a game, it does play well. I definitely consider Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite one of the least mediocre out of every game I have ever played. So congrats Infinite, but you're still weak, just like the fucker from Sonic Forces. Persona 5 Tactica. As someone who very much enjoys tactical RPGs like Fire Emblem and Mario plus Rabbids games, I really thought Persona 5 Tactica was a pretty cool time. I love the story and especially the new characters, the gameplay is pretty fun, and thought the core gameplay loop was pretty nice. The music took a while for me to get properly invested in, but as I got further into the game, I started appreciating the soundtrack a lot more. The overall game looks beautiful and genuinely feels like a Persona Q3 with the character sprites. The art style for the talk sprites in particular did take me a while to get used to, but they are very gorgeous looking. If there are some things I'd say I was not the biggest fan of, half of the humor unfortunately didn't stick the landing for me this time around. The bosses were pretty meh, not helping that Tactica does 3 boss refights at the game's final level. But I will say the boss fight of the Third Kingdom and the final boss of the game were very fun to fight. That's really all the complaints I have about the game though, because other than those, Tactica was a fun ass time. Sonic Rumble. Not a lot of people like this game, and I am not going to dismiss I don't understand why. Like, my main issue with Rumble is how the game handles its microtransactions and how it sometimes tends to advertise it after a match you finish. But I kinda have a lot of fun with this game. The graphics are gorgeous, I love the OST, the minigames are pretty fun, the side content is cool. I think Rumble is a great game. Hades. I've been getting a lot into roguelikes in 2025, and Hades is one of the best roguelikes I've ever played. It already intrigued me for multiple reasons, with one of them being that it's a representation on Greek mythology, and the other reason being that Hades 2 was going to be officially released out of being an early access title. So I decided to play Hades after a friend of mine gave me an opportunity to play it. The combat and level progression is fun. I love all of the different options for weaponry that you can get and obtain that you can use for each run you do. The different boons that you can get from the gods and goddesses of Olympus are very versatile and cool. The story and characters are fucking incredible. The presentation is astounding with the voice acting, graphics, and music all being amazing. I love this game so much that I am definitely going to attempt to 100% complete it, alongside Hades 2 for when I get around to that. Fire Emblem 7 The Blazing Blade. The one major aspect about Fire Emblem that initially turned me away from a series in the first place was the series' permadeath feature where if a unit of yours dies, they don't come back. It's why I played the later games in the series like Fates and Free Houses because they could be turned off if you pick casual. I wanted to play Fire Emblem 7 for a while after hearing so much praise the game gets, but was highly skeptical because of permadeath. But after reassurance from 3 of my friends, and especially about the rewind feature on Nintendo Switch Online, all of my skepticisms are gone because FE7 is wonderful. The graphics are timeless, the characters are super memorable and charming, the story is really good, the music is nostalgically awesome, and I love the maps and the tactical system. It was a slightly different experience than from what I am used to in later Fire Emblem entries, but it's a different experience I wholeheartedly am liking a lot. I know I am gonna get around to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones after I am done with the Blazing Blade. Soul Hackers 2. I don't care if this game got a lot of mixed reception, Soul Hackers 2 is an incredible game. Like, really, the only complaint I do technically agree with is the dungeon design feeling like designs you'd see in 90s Megaten games, even more so since Soul Hackers 2 is a 2022 game, but aside from that, wow, this game is really overhated. I really like the cast and story, but dungeons themselves are nice, the non-dungeon explorative aspect of this game is incredible, I fucking love this game's soundtrack, and I'm not gonna pretend it isn't. And the whole futuristic neon cyberpunk theming for this game is charming as hell. The game has a very futuristic eerie vibe that I can't help but get sucked into. One could say that this game hacked my soul to get immersed. Yes, bad joke, I know. But I genuinely do love this game so far, and I really want to see more people praise this game and give this game a chance. I seriously don't think it's a soulless, boring, or bad experience like a lot of people think it's a bait. The Walking Dead The Final Season. With completing the journeys through Seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Telltale's The Walking Dead, the final season did not disappoint at all. Most people say Season 1 is their favorite season, and understandably so. But to me, the final season is just everything I could ever ask for in a Walking Dead game. This was an awesome conclusion to Clementine's story. The characters are amazing, the game may not have all too much color, but its more dirty or saturation gives that sense of dystopia extremely well. The story is fucking incredible, the choices you make are wonderful, and after season 2 and 3 of not utilizing the whole tagline of Telltale's, the choices you make affect the story quite all that well, season 4 here did a wonderful job with it. The music as well is fucking incredible with original pieces and even old returning tracks. Much like the rest of this series, this game broke my heart, and while Telltale could not get this game fully completed after they shut down in 2018, I'm glad that Skybound stepped up and finished the last couple episodes for Telltale Games. Splatoon 2. The first Splatoon was already one of my favorite games of all time, and while it took me this long for me to finally play Splatoon 2, I am so glad I did. The characters are great, the music and general presentation are funky and fresh, the gameplay is just as awesome and addicting as ever, the story is really good and has a bigger utilization of the Squid Sisters, while also introducing a new duo called Off the Hook featuring Pearl and Marina. And holy shit, the online is just as fucking great as ever. Granted, I hate the fact that you need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription in order to play it, but the online itself is addicting, chaotic, and oddly nostalgic. Makes sense in a way since I did play the online of Splatoon 1 a fucking lot when I was 12 to 14 years old. Fuck, remember when Nintendo didn't have a Switch Online subscription back when the Switch launched? Those were better times for online, man. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This is my first ever Luigi's Mansion game, and honestly, I very much enjoy what I am playing so far. Granted, Luigi's Mansion 2 goes for a comedic approach for its horror, whereas in the first game it felt more creepy and tense, but that's not a bad thing since it still has its sheer intensity, and I would argue this balanced tone fits much better into the type of world that the Mario franchise is. The levels are really nice, the presentation is really cool, the music is atmospheric, this is some good shit. Yakuza 0. My very first Yakuza game, and what a fantastic experience this is so far. Once again, like the Half-Life and the Metroid Prime segments, my sense of direction is a bit fucked, so I sometimes get lost pretty easily in the city, but this game is absolutely incredible. A visually stunning game with awesome combat and intriguing story with an amazing cast of characters, including Kiryu and Majima themselves. Though I thought the main battle themes can get a bit too repetitive personally, but aside from that, the soundtrack is fucking awesome. I definitely cannot wait to try out the rest of the games after this. The Walking Dead Michonne. So I decided to play this Telltale miniseries after I finished the mainline Telltale Walking Dead games, and I genuinely had a lot of fun with The Walking Dead Michonne. The gameplay is as Telltale as ever, the characters are absolutely great, and while not a lot of them will reach top 10, they would definitely reach top 20. The graphics are great, I absolutely enjoyed the story, the music's pretty good, and for only 3 episodes, this was such an absolutely fun experience. And that's what I can say about Telltale's The Walking Dead franchise as a whole. An absolutely engaging movie-like experience with really impactful choices with very heartfelt and soul-crushing moments that last a long time. Sonic Racing Crossworlds. You mean this game is keeping up a winning streak in Sonic's Renaissance era from Sonic Frontiers onward, and have this be possibly the best Sonic racing game of all time? Hell yeah, brother! The tracks are so fucking fantastic, both the main tracks and the Crossworlds, even Sky Road. The customization is amazing, the music is incredible, even the main theme, which gets way too much hate in my honest opinion. The online is chaotic and fun, and just the replayability aspect of the game is just top tier all around. A massive step up from Team Sonic Racing. That said, the only complaint I have about the game is that I think the item RNG is a bit too all over the place in my eyes, making some races go from fun to frustrating. But either way, this is just an amazing game all around. Wuthering Waves. So I finally got to play the Hoyoverse-like game made by Kuro Games when the game got ported onto Steam, and while I've only played less than 5 hours of it, holy shit, it really makes me want to play more. The world is awesome, the story is starting off strong, the combat is more to my taste with being more action-oriented, the music and just how the game looks in general is beautiful. I'm absolutely enjoying this game, even if much like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, I've been playing it on a potato of a laptop. That being said, if there is one complaint I have about the game, the early game voice acting was fine, but some characters didn't sound that good, with a big example being Yang Yang. But either way, this is a very fun gacha game so far and I can't wait to keep playing. Persona 5 The Phantom X. Unlike Wuthering Waves, where I spent just less than 5 hours on it, Phantom X I spent nearly 80 hours on as of the time I'm writing this. And it makes sense, because I am more prone to liking a Persona game than something like a Hoyoverse or Kuro Games game. However, despite me spending nearly 80 hours on it, Phantom X is the most disappointing game I played in 2025. However, it doesn't mean I hate it. I just find it painfully mediocre, and I really did not want to feel this way at all because I did love it a lot during the first act of the game. But then Act 2 rolls around and the game just got worse and worse with the more I played through it. There's a lot of shit I love about this game, however. While I thought the combat was fine, I loved exploring mementos, the story and characters are very fucking cool, the city life shit is fun to do, the optional battles are really intriguing and good, all of the brand new Phantom Thief designs are fucking stylish and experimental. I love the soundtrack, including the fact that I think this game is some of the best battle and boss themes out of any Persona 5 game. And the optional stuff you can get is amazing. But then there are my issues that just make me so numb with this game. These issues being the game's poor pacing and the horrendous grinding. Now, the amount of leveling and upgrade mechanics are fine, however, the pacing is horrible because of the palaces and story arcs. Seriously, by the time you completed the first story arc of Phantom X, you would have already completed the first 2 arcs in P5/P5 Royal. Yep, 17 hours for the first arc. And then there's Arc 2, which I'm not fucking joking, is over 40 goddamn hours. It's so mentally draining, and it doesn't help that this game has atrocious level grinding. Don't get me wrong, the grinding was tolerable in the first 50 hours of the game, but then come to the main boss fight of Act 2 and you'd be going into the fight under-leveled as all hell without knowing it at first until you enter the fight. As of right now, the things I enjoy doing the most in Phantom X are the city life stuff, the synergies, which are this game's version of social links/confidants, getting all my rewards for logging into the game or completing certain objectives, the story event stuff like Crossroads of Fate and even the event-exclusive stories, the Thieves' Den, etc. Neither of which are main story related in any way, shape, or form. And that's a fucking shame I feel this way about Phantom X. I cannot stop playing it though because there is shit I love about this game and I seriously did not want to be as negative as I do about it, but a lot of the time it gets to a point where I sadly get burned out of the main game because of the flaws it has. And as I usually say when it comes to this game, when it's good, it's really good, but when it's bad, it makes me upset. However, the last 7 games I'll be talking about are a lot more positive, so let's finish this video off with some good shit, shall we? Risk of Rain 2. It's genuinely stunning how much fun of a roguelike it is. The levels are very nice and explorative, the game looks very beautiful to look at, the cast of characters to play as are diverse and cool, the soundtrack is fucking incredible, the secrets are fun to find, the game getting harder over actual time is a cool and perfectly executed concept. Though in my opinion it's much better experience as a multiplayer experience than a single player experience, and I don't know if anyone else had this problem or if it's just my controller being fucky, but for some reason on PC the button mapping just wasn't automatically set up for me like every other PC game I played that has controller support. But overall, Risk of Rain 2 is fun as all hell. Pokemon Legends ZA. I don't care how mid or bad y'all are claiming Legends ZA is, because don't get me wrong, the game has issues, but I still think it is fucking amazing. The exploration is really nice, while the story has its issues here and there, I still like it for what it is and it gets much better late game. The characters are really charming, the soundtrack is good, the graphics are fucking beautiful to look at, the side quests are really fun to do, the combat is probably my favorite in any Pokemon game I've ever played, the customization is experimental as all hell and probably the best in the series, and I really like the ZA Royale and the Battle Zone structuring. While I have experienced drops in frames and poppin', they don't harm my experience with the game. Yes, even the windows, y'all hyperfocus on that shit way too much and it's so annoying. ZA isn't my favorite Pokemon game, not even my second, but it is still a pretty good experience. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. From start to finish, this was such a fun-ass time. I still have yet to play Canon of Creation, which is the vanilla SMT5 story, but the Canon of Vengeance story was honestly pretty fun. The combat was nice, I liked the story, the characters were intriguing, the music is really great, almost everything about it was really good. That said, the only thing I didn't like was that safety difficulty took very easy way too far. For optional battles, I'm okay with it, but the same can't be said for boss fights in particular, which makes them an absolute cakewalk. Something every other Atlas game that has a difficulty setting like that didn't have that issue, but that's easily mitigated by just changing the difficulty. And the sound design for the attacks didn't feel like they had any big impact, but other than that, this is a great game. But word of advice, don't play Canon of Vengeance first. That story builds on, adds a lot of new story elements, and changes up the story a lot mid and late game, to a story in vanilla SMT5 that most consider not that good. So play Canon of Creation first and play Canon of Vengeance afterward. Spark the Electric Jester. Those of you that watch my 2 livestream part series I did playing this game know how I feel about it. The Jester powers are versatile and fun to use, the level design is really good, complementing the balance between platforming, speed, and the utilizations of the Jester powers so well. The soundtrack is really good, the story is simple but effective, and the bosses are fun to fight. That said, performance-wise, I have had issues with the frame rate, and the penultimate level is way too much of a difficulty spike in my opinion. But even still, that does not stop my enjoyment of Spark 1. Persona 5 Royal. I was genuinely stunned by how much of an improvement this enhancement truly is. I've played the original Persona 5 all the way back in 2021, but never gotten around to Royal until the year of 25. Everything I absolutely loved about Persona 5 was made even better with all the new additions the game brought to the table. Through gameplay changes, to new gimmicks, to new story additions, to new characters and character arcs, this game is everything I could ever want in a Persona game. Holy crap! I've already talked about in a community post of how much this game means to me on a personal level, but that's how I genuinely feel about this game. From start to finish, it was truly a royal experience that I absolutely want to play again on New Game Plus at some point in the near future. I fucking love this game. Dispatch. Oh my lord, Dispatch is the greatest interactive story choice-based game I have ever played in my life. Made by a team of former Telltale members, it is clear how much love and passion was put into this game. The story is fucking awesome with a great theming surrounding redemption and being more than who you think you are. The game looks drop-dead gorgeous, the characters are incredible. Robert is a great protagonist, and the romance story between him and the 2 romance option ladies in the game, Blonde Blazer and Invisigal, is impressively well done. The rest of the game's cast is also great, with some of my favorites going to Prism, Punch Up, Chase, Sonar, and Malevola. Even if it does focus a lot on adult humor due to it being, well, an adult game, the game makes me laugh so much with no humor coming out as forced or being one of those you either get it or you don't types of humor. And aside from the story choices, the gameplay also has dispatch missions, and they are so much fun and get super tense at the game's final episode. And the hacking sections are also good, even getting brain teasy in some of them. I heard that Ad Hoc Studios is planning on making a season 2 for Dispatch, and if that is actually the case, you bet your ass I'll be getting it day 1 when the first episode of that drops. And finally, one more game to talk about, and that is Fish. It's a game where you put your cursor over a fish and click on it. Yes, this is a joke game, and no, I don't regret getting it. And that is all the games discussed here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, especially if you made it through to the end. What are your games that you played for the first time in 2025? Any games I talked about that you disagreed with my opinions on? Feel free to share them in the comment section down below. I read every comment I receive if YouTube doesn't try to hide them from me. But that's not all of what I have of this video. In the 2024 video, I decided to rank my top 10 favorites of all the games I talked about in that video, and that's going to be the same here. However, I'm going to make this a top 25 rather than a top 10 for 2025. I have played so many wonderful games that I talked about that, to be honest, 10 spots just ain't enough. So I want to mention 25 of them. Note that over time, these spots might have changed during production of this video, so don't expect this list to be 100% accurate to my thoughts of when I release this video. With that all said and done, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else in between, I'm User1 Campbell, and here are my top 25 favorite games I first played in 2025.
Going to help Colette regenerate the world. You guys all came for me?
The world's fate to be remade. Birth, death, then rebirth.
Ruinous thunder!
It's exceedingly unlikely that this could be the work of a human.
You want to find more people. You're forgetting what people are like.
Your fucking uselessness stops now. Time to earn your keep.
What is golf with your friends? A mini golf game you play with friends? Yes, but it's also so much more.
デビル様な？
悪魔を召喚し刺激する俺のようなデビル様なだ。
私たちは彼らの死を阻止すればいいというわけですね。世界の終わりを止めるために。
世界に破滅をもたらす。
Your days of loveless behavior will end here and now!
I can't imagine what that must have been like. People leave, they die, there's less of us all around. It's hard to survive too long these days without being a bit troubled.
And so it was that another survivor came to join our band of refugees. Together, we resolved to forge a new way of life here on Mira, come what may.
No Zeus, of course.
I work better alone.
The hell, man?
Hello, Robert.
How do you move so quiet?
I float.
any other game, he is left out the deck and has no value. But in Battledro, Jimbo and other jokers upgrade your poker hands, allowing you to create powerful card synergies. Every run requires a new strategy. Harness these jokers to their full potential and optimize your deck to defeat tricky enemy boss blinds.
All those people cheering before. It's like a total reversal now. How could they be like this?
I fled from the truth. I'm sorry.
There's no justice in granting people's wishes as you see fit.
I'll be the one to decide what's right for me. I won't ditch everyone else to save my own ass.
Such is the code of the Phantom Thieves.
You can lose with no